I must say that as a fan of the side-scrolling beat-em-up genre, that I am also a big connoisseur of what I'd consider the genre's various evolutions. In particular, I am a huge fan of the Koei Tecmo Warriors franchise. I can comfortably say, though, that I think every gamer out there has played at least one Dynasty Warriors game. Perhaps you're like me, and you've also sampled the Samurai Warriors franchise, or the even better doubled-up entree of Warriors Orochi. Regardless, I think we all have our favorite warrior from the fantastical Three Kingdoms era of China. If you're curious about moi, I have a favorite character in every faction. For Shu, I love Ma Chao the most. It's the dragon armor that really gets me. For Wei, it's Dian Wei. For Wu, it's Taishi Shu. For Wu, it's... oh my god, I can't pronounce this.
Taishi.
If you can believe it, I've actually been playing those two particular characters since the first Dynasty Warriors game, which was a fighting game. And as for the non-aligned factions, I mean, come on.
I plan on bringing a swift end to all of this nonsense!
Oh yeah, they added Jin later, too. If I had to pick a Jin character, it'd probably be Xiahou Ba. I like the heavily armored characters, I suppose. Wait, why the fuck am I rambling about Dynasty Warriors characters? We're playing Undead Knights. Oh god, yes, this main menu music? We're shredding already here. Undead Knights is a PSP game that was gently sprinkled out all over the world over the course of a couple months between 2009 and 2010. Developed by Koei Tecmo, specifically their Team Tachyon branch, this game is in lieu of one of their Warriors titles, which explains the Dynasty Warriors rambling at the start of this video. It's a hack and slash where you're a badass warrior able to take on hundreds of enemy soldiers without issue. This one, though, does have a bit of a twist on the normal formula, but I'll get to that after this. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the rawest intro I've seen in a video game in quite some time. Probably should have just played it in its entirety, but god damn, I love this intro so much. Dark, bleak, medieval fantasy setting. I love that. Evil possessing R3 heroes? Sick. Them slashing through legions of enemies? Cool as fuck. Turning your fallen foes into zombies and sicking them on their friends? Heartless, but damned cool. Piece de resistance, though, all the zombies violently smashing themselves against the gates of a castle to bring it down. Good fucking lord, what a god-tier intro. Probably among the best I've ever seen. That intro is also the backstory for the game's three main characters, one that's elaborated a bit more in the game's various text scrawls. Our main and playable characters for this game are Romulus, Remus, and Sylvia of the House Blood. Romulus and Remus are brothers, and Sylvia is the daughter of the land's king that married Remus to enter the house. These three are citizens of the Kingdom of Cavalier, a formerly fractured nation that has now been brought together under the rule of King Kirk Gladys, or rather King Kirk and his mysterious new queen, Fatima. I ponder who the real bad guy in this scenario is. It becomes apparent to Romulus, though, one of the king's most loyal knights, that Fatima is exerting far too much influence over the king. You see, Romulus believed that the king should be beholden to the people of his kingdom, and not one sole individual, regardless of how fat her jugs are. He voices as much to the king, but to no avail. The king, however, is enraged by Romulus's impudence, and he orders the entire Blood clan to be slaughtered, even including his own daughter. The ambush occurs. As Remus and Sylvia lay dying, Romulus cries out for help from any who would hear his call. His cries are answered by an entity known as the Beast, a mysterious being from beyond, who blesses Romulus with the gift of unlife, a gift that Romulus promptly spreads to his brother and Sylvia as well. The trio rises from their graves, and our roaring rampage of revenge promptly begins. Undead Knights features a 20-mission campaign where you'll be traveling across the four major realms of Cavalier, out to kill the people who have wronged you. Starting in Duke Gloucester's lands, the first few levels will give you the basic gist of how the game plays. Every character has weak and strong strikes, which can of course be mixed together to produce various attack strings. You also have your basic mobility options at running, jumping, and you even have a nice little evasive roll, which gives you some very useful iframes to avoid enemy attacks with. What really differentiates this game from your average Warriors affair, though, is that unlike your normal Warriors game, you have no backup at the start of a mission. You have to create your own soldiers by infecting enemy grunts and turning them into zombies. You can wail on them a little bit to weaken them for an instant conversion, though you can't just grab your opponent straight away for a conversion that takes just a little bit longer, which this does leave you open to be attacked, but on conversion you do get a little bit of health back as well, so maybe you could just tank the damage. You also have your big MUSOU style attack, which you can execute when you fill your little meter here. This does a ton of damage, makes you fully invincible for its entire duration, and it immediately zombifies any low health soldier around you. pretty cool. Once under your control, these zombies will attack any nearby enemy. You can also directly order them to attack specific targets or objectives. Hilariously, you can have your Zeds viciously maul targets to the ground, and if said target is to perish, the death results in an absolute torrent of cranberry sauce. I've never really been shy about my love of violence in games, and, well, this is awesome. It's so gratuitous. Really, it'd only be better if the Zeds ran off with all the limbs, torso, and head, too. Outside of murdering hapless soldiers, your zombies have some additional utility in that you can grab them and huck them at your enemies. This will always stun the basic enemies for reference, and a lot of objectives in this game will revolve around you hurling your undead minions at various targets. In lieu of tossing them, you can also just hold your undead pets in advance. They absorb damage for you, and can even block strong magical attacks that you'll be facing off against later in the game. Overall, your minions are super useful. You can have up to 11 of these bastards running around killing people. Try to create any more than that though, and your oldest Zed will simply perish. Which honestly isn't too bad of a thing, since your zombies are always getting slashed up constantly, and a fresh body is far better than a limbless, headless zombie. I don't even know how they can function or eat without a head, but they still do it somehow. Anyway, you tear through Duke Gloucester's lands, eventually cornering him in his castle. Terrified, he speaks to this odd jester fellow who just talks mad shit to the obese ruler.
When they faint like maids. In my day.
In your day, you fought armies of giants, twice your size and thrice your number, naked in a sandstorm with only slingshots.
But he also hands him a weapon to sick upon you, which is really just a bunch of giant armored pigs. Not terribly intimidating, admittedly. Final chapter of Area 1, your selected character confronts the Duke, who is, of course, scared shitless because of the Blood's resurrection from the dead. You confront him in the final chapter, and he very promptly passes the buck off entirely onto the king himself, and his flame, too. But you're very quick to point out how wealthy he's become in the wake of your house's death. He agrees, but tries to bribe you, to which you respond,
There must be something I have that you will take in trade?
Yeah, your head.
Yeah, you tell him, Romulus. And so you fight. He sticks a bugbear on you, you kill that, and then you finish that fat bastard off. Sadly though, no cool death scene for him. God, this fat fuck could have fed my troops for weeks. You rage at the dark entity for turning you into a monster, but then happily head on to the realm of knights to keep wreaking your bloody vengeance. Speaking of knights, you've seen a few now, so let's talk enemies in this game. Your basic rank-and-file men-at-arms are always around in some form, easily zombified cannon fodder that slash at you with a sword sometimes. Annoying, but simple. A step up from them are the actual knights who, while on foot, use lances and polearms. They can also be on horseback, which makes them super fucking mobile. They're also incredibly annoying, since their charges knock you right on your ass on contact. This attack will chain you too if you're not careful. Sentinels are like men-at-arms, but because of their big-ass shield, they're completely impervious to all attacks from the front. So vulnerable to having a corpse hurled at them, though. Bowmen, they shoot arrows. They hide in tall buildings like cowards. Annoying, but not as annoying as the bombardiers who throw bombs. Assholes. Serving as sub-bosses throughout the game's levels are these absolute mounds of fat known as the Giants. They're incredibly slow, but every hit will do immense damage to you and knock you right on your ass to the ground. Interestingly, these guys can be zombified as well, but I'd say it's not even worth it because they are so slow. There's some other enemies awaiting you here too, but I'll save them for a little bit later. The three knights from the Order of the Holy Tree are sent out by Captain Reynold, also an old friend of Romulus. He muses over why he could be back, but the gesture of course ruins it. Reynold also pulls out his ace in a hole, a fruit from the Holy Tree itself. I'm not gonna lie, if Jesus handed me a fruit that looked like that, not only would I never eat it, I'd start doubting my status as a good guy. Anyway, you fight Skarsgård, who claims his dead brother's beliefs were clearly not pure, otherwise they would have killed you easily. His beliefs aren't pure either though, and he loses because of this. Bloody Haggerty is the second boss here, a knight who only earned his status as one by participating in the massacre of your house. He claims this will be a pleasurable experience for him. I hope this gets you off, bud. I'll be your arm and Mivis. I won't lie though, I like that he uses weird hand maces as a weapon. I love weird ass shit like this in games. Lastly, of the three great generals of the knights is Francesca, Reynold's own daughter, who claims she'll purge me for her father and the queen. How'd that work out, huh? Onward finally to the captain himself, terrified to see you again, but understanding of why you're here. Regardless, he feels obligated to stop you, so the captain devours the fruit and mutates into a horrible monster, the Nephilim. I liked this Nephilim better. In his monster form, he is super durable and becomes a master of fart magic. Evade that, just hurl your Zeds onto him and slash away, but man, the bosses in this game are stupid durable. The weapon upgrades you can get help a bit, but these dudes are just fucking meat sacks of HP with very violent beat stick attacks. Wait, I really went this long without mentioning it, but you can use the souls you've harvested to boost your character in various ways. You can upgrade your health, weapons, life recovery from perfect conversions, and new combination attacks even. You also have these temp buffs you can buy per level, but your overall letter grade goes down if you do, which lowers the amount of souls you get at the end of a level. Just avoid these. The penalty for death is just starting the level over. Good news, any souls earned by any character can be used to level any character, so if you end up with some extra after a playthrough with one character, you can spend it on another one. Bad news, I can't believe I have to buy some of this stuff. I have to buy the ability to call my zombies to me, to be able to recover quickly from a knockdown. That's crazy. Anyway, I dropped the devil, and in his death throes, he let you know he betrayed you out of fear of Fatima and her power, before letting you know that the Vanguard, the Walking Dead, are coming. The zombies show up. Not your zombies. Enemy zombies. This level is more like your typical Dynasty Warriors game. Just have to slash your way through them since they can't be converted at all. They sure do scream a lot, though.
Be quiet! Shut up!
You wade through the enemy undead and escape Wood Edge Castle before setting your sights on Dracoon, the third area, a land of technological innovation, which has led to great prosperity under the rule of its philosopher king, Liam O'Brien.
Calm yourself, fool. These results match my calculations.
But also a land of great repression under the Ouroboros Knights. Tall, pale-skinned, dead-eyed knights who are one of the enemy types I neglected to mention earlier. They can block like sentinels, dish out some serious damage with their gauntlets, and they can take a ton of punishment too. But they're just fairly simple chaff. Chaff that can be converted to your side and make a slightly stronger zombie for you. Oh, and outside those Ouroboros guys, you also have these mage knights who can throw fireballs or something, I can't really remember now. And there's also these elephants called behemoths. That's pretty much it for enemies in this game, I think. You fight to King Liam, who is aware of your power and its origin from the Void. He calls you stupid, too, but then he offers a chance to rule the world together. You tell him to fuck off, of course.
Together, we could rule this world.
Shut up already, Lord Fuckwit.
He also eats the fruit of the holy tree, and we have another monster boss to fight. The Venom Angel is a tad bit more annoying since his wind attacks come out a lot more rapidly than the fart magic, but he dies much the same as the last guy. He dies with zero fanfare too, since after his fight you're confronted immediately by the Jester and he drops a bomb on you. It turns out that at the Marriage of Blood, it was actually Romulus that killed Sylvia, not the soldier sent to kill you. Though, Romulus explains what actually happened. While searching the battle for both her and Remus, he came across a horrid sight.
Searched for the two of you, but when I finally found you, it's too horrible for words. The soldiers, they had you, Sylvia. They were...
Going by that line, I'm gonna guess it starts with an R and ends in ape. Enraged by this sight, Romulus slaughtered the offending soldiers, but swung a little too wild and accidentally killed Sylvia as well. This creates literally no conflict whatsoever, since Remus and Sylvia are actually pretty understanding of the situation. So, nice ace in the hole there, battered guys. Really broke us all apart. At this point, you might have a certain burning question. Is this an edgelord game? To which I say... nah, not really. Outside the previous scene's implication and the occasional swear...
Hell hath no fury like this bitch scorned.
It isn't terribly edgelordy, like some other game I could think of, but here I'd say the dialogue comes off more as schlocky and rather humorous in execution. So it's onward to Cavalier, the final area of the game. Cavalier is mainly facing down resurrected versions of previously slain bosses, including the 3 Holy Knights and 2 Abominations too. Beyond the revived people, you'll end up facing off with the Jester, an abomination, much like yourself, but one crafted by Fatima. He bounces around a lot, farts, and throws baby tantrums, which means he's killable. After him and another gauntlet, you come face to face with the king himself. He mourns the fact that Fatima has taken everything from him, reducing the king to nothing more than an undying husk to parade about to the people. He begs for death, and you're happy to oblige. After a little difficulty, I mean. Pawns swept off the table now, it's down to just you and Fatima. After one last slaughter gauntlet, you come face to face with her in the throne room, under the shadow of the holy tree itself. I have to ponder if any believer saw this thing and said, yep, definitely fine worshipping that. Totally normal. Fatima opens up with a speech about the tree, it being an unholy merger of both living and unliving flesh, with its fruit being able to bestow the same powers on people as the beast did unto you, and Fatima as well. She, however, managed to break free of the beast's influence by harvesting the blood and putting it into this crystal. Yeah, the crystal, that's what I'm looking at right now. With all this research done, though, Fatima is on the verge of being able to control the beast's power, and with it could free mankind from the fear of death. You're still pissed off, though, and Fatima chastises you for wanting to sacrifice the peace and harmony for all mankind for nothing more than petty revenge. She even points out how dumb it is to do this, since this was all just a ploy by the beast to kill her. This, of course, gives your character some pause. Is it really the smart idea to be a pawn of the beast and sate your own petty revenge?
Enough talk, bitch. Time to die.
Of course it is. I have quite literally slaughtered the rulers of every major nation here, on top of thousands and thousands of soldiers. Probably civilians too, but that's never shown. Not to mention all the fucked up shit Fatima has gotten into. Yeah, this bitch is gonna die. I don't give a fuck if I'm a pawn in the game of life. I don't let the gods control me anyway. Cross me and die. Plain and simple. Fatima becomes one with the tree, forming up to create Yggdrasil. Now the funny thing about this boss battle is it's probably the easiest out of every boss in the game, provided you don't overcomplicate everything like I did. During this fight, Fatima will constantly spawn these tumors which fire cancer energy that crumples you on hit. All the while, she attacks underfoot with tentacles. I think you can freeze these by tossing a zombie onto them, but I'm not entirely sure. But it doesn't really matter at all, since all you need to do is just wail on her. iframe her one CQC attack and just wail on her till she perishes. My dumbass thought the tumors need to be popped first, or the tentacles need to be occupied. Nope, you just whoop her ass until the end. In her dying breaths, Fatima congratulates you on your victory, but berates you for just being a pawn of the beast. Who really is the real villain at the end of this whole little conflict? She implores you to take up the stone she wore and resist the beast's influence. The beast tells you not to do it though, because you'll suffer the same fate as your former king did. He also says the two of you shall not work together for the rest of time. You being you though, well, you tell the beast to fuck off and you smash the stone too, intent on simply resisting the beast's influence yourself. Your character knows they're beyond redemption at this point due to the atrocities they've committed, but they'll happily spend the rest of their lives in exile if they can fight the beast and his influence. The game thusly ends. Unfortunately, Undead Knights was a one-and-done title for Tecmo Koei. I guess that's not surprising, to be honest. This game kinda smacks of a budget title, probably something cranked out to help the PSP library out a bit. Playing it though, I could feel the lack of a budget. Yeah, it's a portable game, but still. In spite of that though, I like this one a lot. It was fun to see a Tecmo Koei game with some real violence in it, you know? Plus, as a kid of the late 90s and 2000s, I appreciate the soft edge on this one. It's enough to entertain, but not enough to come off as super cringy like other games I could think of. The comedic bits involving your zombies are also pretty damn funny too. Overall, this was a pretty fun little game. I'm kinda sad this one didn't get a follow-up at all. Really, I could see an assload of potential in a more fleshed out version of this game. Different zombies, more upgrades, and a lot of stuff really. I'm also pretty sad our Undead heroes didn't cameo in a Warriors Orochi game at all. I mean, why not, you know? Anyway, that'll be it for this one. As always, dearest viewers, my name is HadesManticore, and this here channel is CityStateManticore. Thanks a ton for watching if you did. Be sure to drop a fat like and a comment too. Be sure to subscribe as well, since, as always, there's more content to come. See y'all in the next one. Goodbye.